Maya Jung walked through the hallways of Westlake High with her eyes down, watching the tiles pass beneath her feet. The school was big, way bigger than her old one. And even after 3 weeks, she still felt lost in the sea of unfamiliar faces. The noisy chatter around her felt like waves crashing against rocks, something she could observe but never quite be part of. She clutched her books tightly against her chest like a shield. History, physics, and her favorite, a worn paperback about ancient battle tactics that her dad had given her. The book's spine was cracked from so many readings, but she loved it all the same. Watch it. A tall boy bumped into her shoulder as he passed, not even turning back to see if she was okay. Maya steadied herself and kept walking. This was nothing new. Being invisible had its perks sometimes, but it also meant people didn't see you even when they should. The truth was, Maya didn't mind being invisible. After moving across the country because of her dad's job transfer, starting over at a new school in the middle of the year was hard enough. She didn't need the added pressure of making friends or fitting in. At least that's what she told herself as she slipped into her English class and took a seat in the back corner. Mrs. Patel was writing something on the whiteboard about Shakespeare. Maya opened her notebook and began taking careful notes in her neat handwriting. Her old teachers had always praised her for being so organized and attentive. Here no one had noticed yet. "Class will be working on group projects this week," Mrs. Patel announced, causing Maya's stomach to knot. "I'll be assigning the groups today." The class groaned collectively, but Maya's concern was different. Group projects meant talking to people. It meant having to share phone numbers and meet after school. It meant breaking the careful bubble of solitude she'd built around herself. When the bell rang, Maya gathered her things quickly, hoping to escape before Mrs. Patel could assign her to a group. "No such luck. Maya, could you stay for a moment?" the teacher called as students filed out. Maya approached the desk slowly, gripping the strap of her backpack. "I noticed you haven't been participating much in class discussions," Mrs. Patel said, her voice kind but concerned. "Is everything okay?" Maya nodded. "Yes, I'm fine. Just still getting used to things." Mrs. Patel smiled. "I understand. Moving to a new school isn't easy, but I think this group project might be a good opportunity for you to connect with some of your classmates. I've put you with Lily and Raj. They're very nice students." "Thank you," Maya said quietly, although inside she was panicking at the thought. The hallway was clearing out as she made her way to the cafeteria. Lunch was always the hardest part of the day. A room full of people who all seemed to know exactly where they belonged, while she drifted like a ghost between tables, looking for an empty spot where she wouldn't bother anyone. Today she found a small table in the corner. She set down her tray, a sandwich, an apple, and chocolate milk, and pulled out her battle tactics book. The cafeteria was loud, but she had gotten good at tuning out the noise, losing herself in stories of ancient warriors and their strategies. What none of her classmates knew, what no one at Westlake High had any reason to know, was that Maya's interest in battle tactics wasn't just theoretical. For the past 8 years, ever since she was 7, she had been training in mixed martial arts with her dad, a military veteran who believed his daughter should know how to protect herself. 3 times a week, they would go to the local MMA gym where her dad had found work as an instructor after leaving the service. While other kids were at soccer practice or dance lessons, Maya was learning how to throw a perfect jab, how to escape from a hold, how to use an opponent's weight against them. "It's not about looking for fights," her dad always told her. "It's about knowing you can handle yourself if one finds you." Maya never talked about her training. At her old school, a few kids had found out and started calling her Ninja Girl, which she hated. It made her sound like some kind of superhero wannabe when all she wanted was to blend in. So at Westlake, she kept it to herself, another secret in a life that sometimes felt full of them. She turned a page in her book, reading about how smaller fighters could use leverage against bigger opponents. She'd practiced those moves just yesterday, flipping her dad over her shoulder onto the mat. He'd laughed and high-fived her afterward, proud of how far she'd come. "The key is to stay calm," he'd told her. "When you panic, you make mistakes. When you're calm, you can see openings others miss." A burst of laughter from a nearby table pulled Maya from her thoughts. She glanced up to see a group of students, the popular ones she guessed from their trendy clothes and confident postures, sitting together. At the center was a boy she recognized from her physics class, Tyler Reynolds. He was good-looking in that typical high school way, with perfect hair and a smile that teachers seemed to love despite his mediocre grades. Tyler caught her looking and raised an eyebrow. Maya quickly returned to her book, cheeks burning. She hadn't meant to stare. The last thing she needed was to draw attention from someone like him. She tried to focus on her reading, but now she was aware of occasional glances from Tyler's table. Were they talking about her? Laughing at her? She took a bite of her sandwich, wishing lunch would end soon so she could escape to the library for her free period. When the bell finally rang, Maya packed up quickly. As she was throwing away her trash, she overheard Tyler talking to one of his friends. "Did you see that new girl staring at me? What's her name again? The quiet Asian chick who never talks to anyone?" "I think it's Maya or something," his friend replied. "She's in my English class. Total brainiac, but weird. Always reading those old books." "Maybe she has a crush on me," Tyler laughed. "Wouldn't be the first time." Maya hurried past them, pretending she hadn't heard. The hallway felt too narrow suddenly, the air too thick. She pushed through the crowd toward the library, her one safe haven in this school. The library was nearly empty when she arrived. Most students used their free periods to hang out in the courtyard or the student lounge. Maya made her way to her favorite spot, a small desk tucked between two tall bookshelves where she could work undisturbed. She pulled out her physics homework, but found it hard to concentrate. Tyler's words kept echoing in her mind. The quiet Asian chick who never talks to anyone. Was that really how people saw her? Just some stereotype, not even worth knowing her name? Maya sighed and tried to focus on the problem set in front of her. Physics was usually her favorite subject, but today the equations swam before her eyes. She thought about calling her mom to ask if she could go home early, claim she wasn't feeling well, but her parents were already worried about how she was adjusting to the move. The last thing she wanted was to make them more concerned. Instead, she closed her eyes and took 3 deep breaths, just like her dad had taught her to do before a match. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Calm the mind, steady the heart. When she opened her eyes again, she felt a little better. The rest of the day passed in a blur of classes and hallways and faces that were starting to become familiar, even if she didn't know their names. In physics, Tyler asked her if he could copy her homework. She shook her head no, which earned her an annoyed look, but the teacher walked in before he could say anything else. When the final bell rang, Maya felt the tension in her shoulders ease a little. Home wasn't far, just a 15-minute walk, and she looked forward to the peace and quiet of her room. As she was putting books in her locker, she noticed a girl from her English class approaching. It was Lily, one of the students Mrs. Patel had assigned to her group project. "Hey," Lily said with a small wave. "You're Maya, right? Mrs. Patel put us in the same group with Raj." Maya nodded, surprised that Lily had sought her out. "We were thinking of meeting tomorrow after school to start working on it. Would that work for you?" "Yes, that's fine," Maya said, her voice softer than she intended. "Cool," Lily smiled. "We usually meet in the library." "Oh, and you should give me your number so we can text you if anything changes." They exchanged numbers and Lily waved goodbye, leaving Maya slightly stunned by the normal, friendly interaction. Maybe the group project wouldn't be so bad after all. Outside, the autumn air was crisp and Maya zipped up her jacket as she began the walk home. She put in her earbuds and turned on her favorite playlist, letting the music wash over her as her mind wandered. She thought about her old friends back home, wondering what they were doing now. They still texted sometimes, but it wasn't the same. Distance had a way of changing things, making conversations awkward and forced. When she reached her house, a small but nice 2-story in a new development, she found her mom in the kitchen preparing dinner. "How was school today?" Her mom asked as Maya dropped her backpack on a chair. "Fine," Maya said, her usual response. Then remembering the group project, she added, "I'm working with 2 students on an English assignment. We're meeting tomorrow after school." Her mom's face lit up. "That's wonderful. Are they nice?" "I think so. One of them, Lily, seems okay. See? I told you you'd make friends eventually." Maya didn't have the heart to tell her mom that being assigned to a group project wasn't the same as making friends. Instead, she grabbed an apple from the fruit bowl and headed upstairs to change for her training session with her dad. In her room, she swapped her school clothes for workout gear, black leggings and a loose t-shirt with her gym's logo on it. She pulled her long dark hair into a tight ponytail and stared at herself in the mirror for a moment. The quiet Asian chick who never talks to anyone. Is that all she was? All she would ever be at this school? Maya shook her head, pushing the thought away. It didn't matter what Tyler Reynolds or anyone else thought of her. She knew who she was, even if they didn't. As she headed downstairs to meet her dad for training, Maya promised herself she would try harder tomorrow. Maybe she would raise her hand in class or ask Lily and Raj questions about themselves during their project meeting. Small steps toward not being invisible anymore. But a part of her wondered if being seen might bring its own problems. Sometimes staying in the shadows was safer than stepping into the light. The next morning, Maya woke up with a strange feeling in her stomach. Not quite nervousness, but something close to it. Anticipation, maybe. She had promised herself that today would be different. No more hiding in the shadows. No more being invisible. She stood in front of her closet, pushing aside her usual dark plain clothes. Her hand stopped on a bright blue sweater her grandmother had sent from China last year. She'd never worn it to school before. It was too bright, too noticeable. Today, that was exactly what she wanted. "You look nice," her mom commented as Maya came downstairs for breakfast. "Special occasion?" Maya shrugged, grabbing an apple from the fruit bowl. Just felt like a change. Her dad looked up from his newspaper with a knowing smile but said nothing. He'd always been good at reading her moods, at understanding when she was working through something in her own way. The walk to school felt different somehow. Maya held her head a little higher, her backpack slung over one shoulder instead of hugged to her chest like a shield. When she reached the main entrance, she took a deep breath before pushing open the doors. Today was going to be different. Her first class was English with Mrs. Patel. As Maya walked in, she spotted Layla waving from a desk near the middle of the room. After a moment's hesitation, Maya headed toward her instead of her usual spot in the back corner. "I like your sweater," Layla said as Maya sat down. "Blue's my favorite color." "Thanks," Maya replied, feeling a little more confident already. "My grandmother sent it from China." "That's so cool. My family's from Lebanon, but I've never actually been there." Layla was easy to talk to, her enthusiasm genuine and infectious. Mrs. Patel started class by handing out the group assignments for their upcoming project. To Maya's relief, she and Layla were placed in the same group, along with a quiet boy named David, who sat 2 rows ahead. "We're doing our Shakespeare project on The Merchant of Venice," Layla told Maya after class as they walked to their lockers. "David's super smart. He won the state debate championship last year. We got lucky with our group." Maya nodded, feeling a strange mix of excitement and anxiety about working with others. At her old school, she'd always done better on solo assignments where she could control everything herself. "Want to sit together at lunch?" Layla asked, closing her locker. "Sure," Maya said, surprised by how much she meant it. The morning passed quickly. In math, Maya raised her hand to answer a question for the first time since arriving at Westlake. Her answer was correct, and the teacher looked pleased. A few students glanced back at her with new interest, as if seeing her for the first time. By the time lunch rolled around, Maya was feeling better about her decision to stop hiding. She spotted Layla at a table with a few other students and made her way over, tray in hand. "Everyone, this is Maya," Layla announced as she sat down. She just moved here from California. The others, 2 girls and a boy, greeted her with varying degrees of interest. They were discussing an upcoming basketball game when Maya noticed Tyler Reynolds entering the cafeteria with his usual crowd. He seemed to be in a bad mood, his face set in a scowl as he moved through the lunch line. When he turned to scan the room for a place to sit, his eyes landed on Maya. For a moment, he looked surprised to see her sitting with a group instead of alone. Then his expression hardened and he whispered something to one of his friends. "Ignore him," Layla muttered, noticing the exchange. "He's just mad because Mr. Reyes caught him trying to cheat on yesterday's quiz." Maya tried to follow Layla's advice, joining in the conversation about movies that the others had started. But she could feel Tyler watching her from across the room, and it made her skin prickle with unease. Halfway through lunch, Maya excused herself to get some water. As she stood at the fountain in the hallway outside the cafeteria, she heard footsteps approaching. Well, well. Look who's trying to be popular today. Maya straightened up to find Tyler leaning against the wall, arms crossed over his chest. 2 of his friends stood a few steps behind him, watching with smirks on their faces. "I'm just having lunch," Maya said, keeping her voice calm despite her racing heart. Tyler stepped closer, towering over her. "You know, I don't appreciate being made to look stupid in physics yesterday." "I didn't make you look stupid," Maya replied. I just didn't want to give you my homework. Same thing. His eyes narrowed. People around here usually know better than to cross me. Maya thought about what her dad would say in this situation. Stay calm, assess the threat. Look for an exit. I should get back to my friends, she said, trying to step around him. Tyler moved to block her path. We're not done talking. I am. The words came out more forcefully than Maya had intended, but she didn't back down. Something dangerous flashed in Tyler's eyes. You think you're better than me, don't you? Little Miss Perfect with her straight A's and her fancy blue sweater. One of his friends snickered, and Maya felt her face grow hot with anger and embarrassment. She was saved from responding when the cafeteria door opened and David, her project partner, stepped out. Maya, he called, looking uncertainly between her and the three boys. Layla sent me to find you. We need to talk about meeting times for our project. Tyler stepped back, his threatening demeanor instantly replaced with a casual smile. Catch you later, new girl, he said before walking away with his friends. Maya let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. You okay? David asked, pushing his glasses up his nose. Those guys giving you trouble? Nothing I can't handle, Maya said, surprised to find she meant it. Thanks for the rescue, though. Back in the cafeteria, Layla looked worried. What happened? I saw Tyler follow you out. Maya shrugged, not wanting to make a big deal out of it. Just trying to intimidate me, I guess. It's fine. But as lunch ended and they headed to their next classes, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over. Tyler Reynolds wasn't the type to let things go, and she had challenged him twice now, first by refusing to let him copy her work, and now by standing her ground in the hallway. Physics class confirmed her fears. When Maya walked in, Tyler was already there, talking and laughing with his friends. He fell silent as she passed, watching her with cold eyes that followed her to her seat. Throughout the class, she could feel the weight of his stare on the back of her neck. It made it hard to concentrate on Mr. Reyes's lesson about velocity and acceleration. When the bell rang, Maya packed up quickly, hoping to get out before Tyler could confront her again. No such luck. As she reached the door, she felt someone bump hard into her shoulder, sending her stumbling into the wall. Tyler walked past without looking back, but the message was clear. This wasn't over. The rest of the day passed without incident, but Maya remained on edge. After her last class, she hurried to her locker, wanting to get home as quickly as possible. She was turning the combination lock when she heard Layla call her name. A few of us are going to get ice cream at Freddy's, Layla said, coming to a stop beside her. Want to come? Maya hesitated. Part of her wanted to say yes, to continue this new path of making friends and being visible. But another part was still shaken from her encounters with Tyler. I can't today, she said finally. I have training with my dad. Training? Layla asked, head tilted curiously. Maya hadn't meant to mention it, but now that she had, she saw no reason to hide it. Mixed martial arts. I've been doing it since I was little. Layla's eyes widened with interest. No way, that's awesome. Are you, really good at it? Maya smiled, feeling a small surge of pride. I'm okay. My dad's the real expert. He used to teach it in the military. That's seriously cool, Layla said with genuine admiration. Maybe I could come watch sometime. Maybe, Maya agreed, surprised by how much she liked the idea of sharing that part of her life with someone from school. They said goodbye at the front doors, and Maya headed home, her mind replaying the day's events. It had been a mixed success. She'd made a real friend in Layla, spoken up more in class, and even stood her ground with Tyler. But she'd also put herself on his radar in a way she hadn't been before. At home, she changed quickly for training, throwing her blue sweater into the laundry basket. As she and her dad drove to the gym, she told him about her day, including the confrontation with Tyler. Sounds like you handled it well, her dad said, pulling into the parking lot, standing your ground without escalating the situation. He seemed really angry, though, Maya admitted as they walked into the gym. Like he's not used to people saying no to him. Her dad nodded thoughtfully. That's often the case with bullies. They rely on fear and intimidation, and when that doesn't work, they don't know what to do. He began setting up the mats for their session. Just keep your guard up, physically and mentally. And remember what I've always taught you. Fighting is the last resort, Maya recited. Exactly. He tossed her a pair of training gloves. But if it comes to that, you'll be ready. Their training that day focused on defensive techniques. blocks, evasions, and how to create distance from an aggressor. By the time they finished, Maya felt more centered, more prepared for whatever might come her way tomorrow. That night, as she lay in bed, Maya thought about Tyler Reynolds and his angry eyes. She wasn't afraid of him, not exactly, but there was something unpredictable about him that made her uneasy. He seemed like someone used to getting his way, someone who didn't handle rejection or defiance well. Tomorrow would be Thursday, taco day in the cafeteria, according to Layla. Maya wondered if Tyler would try something during lunch, when teachers were fewer and distractions many. If he did, she would be ready, not looking for a fight but not backing down either. As she drifted off to sleep, Maya remembered something her dad had told her years ago, when she'd first started training. True strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about knowing when to hit, when to walk away, and when to stand your ground. Tomorrow she would need all three kinds of wisdom, because something told her that Tyler Reynolds was just getting started. Thursday morning arrived with gray skies and a light drizzle that matched Maya's mood perfectly. She'd slept poorly, her dreams filled with blurry images of confrontations and falling. As she got dressed for school, she chose her clothes carefully, comfortable jeans and a simple green t-shirt that wouldn't restrict her movement. Just in case. "You're quiet this morning," her mom commented as Maya picked at her breakfast. "Just tired," Maya replied, forcing herself to take a bite of toast. Her stomach felt tight with anxiety, but she knew skipping breakfast before a potentially difficult day would be a mistake. Her dad looked up from his coffee. "Everything okay at school?" Maya hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, just some stuff I need to deal with." Her dad studied her face for a moment. "Remember what we talked about yesterday?" "I remember," Maya said, meeting his eyes. He nodded, seeming satisfied. "Call me if you need anything. I can be at the school in 10 minutes. "Dad, I'm fine," Maya insisted, though she appreciated knowing he was there if things went really wrong. The walk to school felt longer than usual. Maya kept her hood up against the rain, going over various scenarios in her head. Maybe Tyler would have forgotten about yesterday. Maybe he'd moved on to bothering someone else. Or maybe, "Maya, wait up." She turned to see Layla running toward her, bright yellow raincoat making her look like a splash of sunshine against the gray morning. Despite her worries, Maya found herself smiling. "Morning," Layla said, falling into step beside her. "Ready for the English quiz?" Maya groaned. "I completely forgot about that. It's just on the first 3 chapters of the book." "You've read them, right?" "Yeah, but I didn't study." Maya had been too preoccupied with Tyler drama to think about schoolwork. "You'll be fine," Layla assured her. "You're smart." They reached the school and headed inside, shaking raindrops from their jackets. Maya scanned the hallway automatically, looking for Tyler or his friends, but didn't see them. The morning passed in a blur of classes. The English quiz wasn't as bad as Maya had feared, and she thought she'd done okay despite her lack of preparation. By the time lunch rolled around, she was starting to think maybe she'd been worrying for nothing. Maybe Tyler had decided she wasn't worth the trouble. "Taco day," Layla announced cheerfully as they entered the cafeteria. "Trust me, it's the one day the food here is actually decent." Maya followed her through the lunch line, choosing a tray of tacos with all the fixings. They were just heading toward their usual table when Maya spotted Tyler and his friends entering from the other side of the room. For a moment, their eyes met across the crowded cafeteria. Tyler's face hardened and he whispered something to the boy next to him. They both looked at Maya and laughed. "Ignore them," Layla said, noticing Maya's tension. "They're just trying to get to you." Maya nodded and continued to their table, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was going to happen. She sat with her back to the wall, keeping Tyler's table in her peripheral vision as she picked at her food. Layla tried to keep the conversation flowing, talking about their English project and an upcoming movie she wanted to see. Maya made an effort to participate, but her attention kept drifting to Tyler's table. Halfway through lunch, Tyler stood up. Maya watched as he refilled his drink at the soda fountain, then began making his way across the cafeteria. His path would take him right past their table. "Heads up," Maya murmured to Layla. "Tyler's coming this way." Layla glanced over her shoulder, then back at Maya with worried eyes. "Just stay calm. There are teachers around." Maya nodded, taking a deep breath as Tyler approached. She noticed he was carrying his tray with one hand, the other swinging loosely at his side. His drink was filled to the very brim, sloshing dangerously with each step. Time seemed to slow down as Tyler neared their table. Maya could see the intention in his eyes, the slight tilt of his tray. He was going to accidentally spill his lunch all over her. In that moment, all of Maya's training kicked in. Her mind became perfectly clear, her awareness expanding to take in every detail. She saw Tyler's slight smirk, the way his friends were watching eagerly from their table, the exact angle of the approaching tray. Without even looking up from her food, Maya's hand shot out just as Tyler started to tip his tray in her direction. Her fingers wrapped firmly around his wrist, stopping the motion mid-tilt. For a split second, everything froze. Tyler's eyes widened in shock, his body tensing against the unexpected resistance. Maya held his gaze steadily, her grip neither painful nor aggressive, just immovable. "I don't think that's a good idea," she said quietly, loud enough only for him and Layla to hear. The cafeteria continued its noisy buzz around them, no one else noticing the silent confrontation taking place at their table. Tyler's face flushed red, his free hand clenching into a fist. "Let go of my arm," he hissed. "Are you going to walk away?" Maya asked, her voice calm despite her racing heart. For a moment, she thought he might try to force the issue. But a teacher walked by, glancing in their direction, and Tyler's posture relaxed slightly. "This isn't over," he muttered as Maya released his wrist. "I hope it is," she replied, turning back to her lunch as if nothing had happened. Tyler stalked away, his back stiff with anger and embarrassment. At his table, his friends looked confused, clearly having expected a different outcome. "Holy crap," Layla whispered once Tyler was out of earshot. "That was amazing. How did you do that?" Maya shrugged, her appetite suddenly returning now that the confrontation was over. "Just good reflexes, I guess." "Good reflexes? You didn't even look up. It was like you had eyes in the back of your head." Layla was staring at her with newfound respect. "And the way you grabbed his wrist, he couldn't move at all." "It's not a big deal," Maya said, uncomfortable with the attention. "Are you kidding? Nobody stands up to Tyler like that." Layla leaned closer. "But you should be careful. He looks really mad." Maya glanced over at Tyler's table. He was hunched over his food, stabbing angrily at his taco while his friends spoke in low voices around him. She could practically feel the humiliation and rage radiating from him. "Yeah," she agreed quietly. "I know." The rest of the day passed with a strange tension in the air. Word of what had happened at lunch spread quickly through whispered conversations and text messages. In the hallways, people looked at Maya differently, some with respect, others with curiosity. A few of Tyler's friends glared at her as she passed, but no one approached her. Physics class was the worst. Tyler refused to look at Maya, staring straight ahead with his jaw clenched so tight she could see a muscle twitching in his cheek. When the bell rang, he was the first one out the door. "That was intense, David," her English project partner commented as they walked to their next class together. "Is it true you flipped Tyler's tray back at him at lunch?" "No," Maya said firmly. "I just stopped him from spilling his food on me. That's all." "Still pretty brave," David said, looking impressed. "Most people just let him do whatever he wants." By the end of the day, Maya was exhausted from the constant tension and just wanted to go home. She hurried to her locker, hoping to avoid any further drama. "Maya Jiang." She turned to find the vice principal, Mr. Hernandez, standing behind her with a serious expression. "Yes?" she asked, her heart sinking. Had Tyler reported her for grabbing his wrist? "I'd like to speak with you in my office, please." Maya followed him down the hallway, her mind racing. She hadn't done anything wrong, she'd just defended herself. But would the administration see it that way? In the office, Mr. Hernandez gestured for her to take a seat. "I understand there was an incident in the cafeteria today involving you and Tyler Reynolds." Maya nodded, deciding honesty was the best approach. "He tried to spill his lunch on me. I stopped him." "And how exactly did you stop him?" Mr. Hernandez asked, his expression unreadable. "I grabbed his wrist to keep the tray from tipping." Maya met his eyes steadily. "I didn't hurt him. I just prevented him from dumping his food on me." Mr. Hernandez studied her for a moment. "That matches what the cafeteria monitor reported seeing. However, Tyler tells a different story. He claims you twisted his arm and threatened him." Maya felt a flash of indignation. "That's not true. There were witnesses. My friend Layla saw everything." "We'll be speaking with her as well," Mr. Hernandez assured her. "But I wanted to hear your side first." I've been training in martial arts since I was 7, Maya said after a moment's hesitation. I know how to defend myself without hurting anyone. I wouldn't twist someone's arm or threaten them. Mr. Hernandez raised an eyebrow, looking surprised. Martial arts? That explains the composure that was described. My dad's a trainer, Maya explained. He always taught me that fighting is the last resort. But defending yourself without escalating is okay. The vice principal nodded slowly. Well, pending our conversation with other witnesses, I don't believe you'll face any disciplinary action. From what I've heard, you showed remarkable restraint in a provocative situation. Relief washed over Maya. Thank you. That said, Mr. Hernandez continued, his expression growing more serious, I'm concerned about the tension between you and Mr. Reynolds. These situations have a way of escalating if they're not addressed. I've tried to avoid him, Maya said. He seems to have a problem with me. I'll be having a separate conversation with Tyler, Mr. Hernandez assured her. But in the meantime, I suggest you be especially careful about confrontations. Even if you're in the right, these situations can quickly get out of hand. Maya nodded, understanding the warning beneath his words. I will. When she finally left the office, school had been out for nearly half an hour. The hallways were mostly empty as she made her way to the exit, lost in thought. She pushed open the door to the parking lot, breathing in the fresh air after the afternoon's rain. The sky had cleared, and the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the pavement. There she is. Maya froze at the sound of Tyler's voice. He was leaning against the bike rack with 3 of his friends clearly waiting for her. His face was a mask of barely controlled anger. Thanks for the trip to the vice principal's office, he said, pushing off from the rack and walking toward her. Really made my day. Maya quickly assessed the situation. 4 of them, 1 of her. No teachers in sight. The parking lot mostly empty except for a few cars belonging to staff members staying late. I didn't ask to go to the office, she said calmly, adjusting her backpack strap. And I told the truth about what happened. Your version of the truth, Tyler sneered, stepping closer. His friends moved to flank him, forming a loose semicircle around Maya. You made me look like an idiot in front of everyone. You did that yourself, Maya replied, immediately regretting the words as Tyler's face darkened further. You think you're so smart, he said, his voice dropping dangerously. Let's see how smart you feel when you're picking yourself up off the ground. Maya's mind raced. She could try to run, but they'd catch her before she reached the street. She could call for help, but who would hear? She could fight, but that was 4 against 1, and she'd promised her dad that fighting was the last resort. As Tyler took another step forward, Maya dropped her backpack and shifted into a subtle defensive stance, weight balanced, hands loose at her sides, ready to move in any direction. I don't want to fight you, Tyler, she said clearly. Just let me go home and we can forget about all of this. Tyler laughed, a harsh sound with no humor in it. Too late for that. Way too late. He lunged forward suddenly, hands outstretched to shove her. Maya sidestepped smoothly, letting his momentum carry him past her. He stumbled, caught himself, and spun around with fury in his eyes. You're dead, he growled. And this time when he came at her, his friends moved too. Maya took a deep breath, centering herself as her dad had taught her. The world seemed to slow down as she focused on the approaching threats, her mind clear and calm despite the danger. Whatever happened next, she was ready. Time seemed to slow down as Tyler and his friends closed in. Maya's training kicked in automatically, her breathing steady, her mind clear, her senses heightened. She could see the anger in Tyler's eyes, the uncertainty in 2 of his friends, and the dangerous excitement in the 3rd. 4 against 1, Maya said calmly, hoping to make them reconsider. That seems fair. Should have thought about that before you embarrassed me, Tyler replied. Taking another step forward, Maya remained perfectly still, only her eyes moving as she tracked their positions. One of the boys, a heavy-set kid named Pete who played on the football team, looked increasingly uncomfortable. Come on, Tyler, he muttered. This is stupid. Let's just go. Shut up, Tyler snapped without taking his eyes off Maya. Nobody asked you. Maya saw her opening, a small crack in their unity. You guys don't have to do this, she said, focusing on Pete and the other hesitant boy. This is between me and Tyler. Don't listen to her, Tyler said, but Maya could hear the hint of panic in his voice as he felt his control slipping. We're teaching her a lesson. For what? Maya asked, her voice steady. For not letting you copy my homework? For stopping you from dumping food on me? What exactly did I do that deserves 4 guys jumping 1 girl in a parking lot? The words hung in the air. Put that way, even Tyler seemed to realize how bad this looked, but he was in too deep to back down now. Just hold her, he ordered his friends. I'll do the rest. The tallest boy, Maya thought his name was Zach, stepped forward first. He reached for her arm, his movements telegraphing his intentions so clearly that Maya almost felt sorry for him. Almost. She waited until the last possible moment, then shifted her weight, pivoting away from his grasp. Using his own momentum, she guided his arm past her with a light touch that looked effortless but sent him stumbling forward off balance. He nearly collided with Tyler, who shoved him away angrily. What are you doing? Tyler hissed. Just grab her. Zach tried again, more aggressively this time. Maya blocked his arm with her forearm, deflected his grip, and used the same movement to create space between them. She wasn't striking, wasn't attacking, just preventing them from getting hold of her. Pete and the other boy hung back, watching with growing unease as Zach failed repeatedly to catch Maya. Each time he lunged, she wasn't where he expected her to be, moving with a fluid grace that made it look like she was barely trying. This is ridiculous, Tyler finally exploded. I'll do it myself. He charged forward, all subtlety gone in his frustration. Maya sidestepped cleanly, but this time she allowed her foot to remain in his path. Tyler tripped, arms windmilling as he fought to keep his balance. He failed spectacularly, landing face first on the wet pavement with a grunt of pain and surprise. For a moment, no one moved. Tyler lay sprawled on the ground, the fight suddenly gone from him. His friends stared in shock, not at Maya but at their fallen leader. Are we done here? Maya asked quietly. Tyler pushed himself up slowly, his palms scraped raw, his jeans torn at one knee. Blood trickled from his nose, not broken but definitely bruised from the impact. The look he gave Maya was pure hatred, but there was something else there too. Fear. You're crazy, he muttered, wiping his nose with the back of his hand. Completely crazy. No, Maya replied evenly. I'm trained. There's a difference. Movement at the edge of the parking lot caught her attention. A car was pulling in, a blue sedan that Maya recognized instantly. Her dad. Looks like my ride is here, she said, keeping her voice casual as relief washed over her. She bent to pick up her backpack, never taking her eyes off the boys. I suggest you guys get cleaned up and go home. Her dad parked nearby and got out of the car, instantly assessing the situation. His face remained neutral, but Maya knew he was taking in every detail. Tyler's bloody nose, the hostile postures, the tension in the air. Everything okay here? He asked, coming to stand beside Maya. We're just finishing up a conversation, Maya replied. Tyler looked between Maya and her father, noticing their similar stances and watchful eyes. Understanding dawned on his face. Let's go, he muttered to his friends, backing away. She's not worth it. Maya watched them retreat across the parking lot, only allowing herself to relax once they were well away. Her dad put a hand on her shoulder, giving it a gentle squeeze. You handled that well, he said quietly. No punches thrown? Maya shook her head. Didn't need to. Just evasion and one accidental trip. Her dad's mouth twitched with a suppressed smile. Accidental, huh? Very accidental, Maya confirmed with perfect innocence. On the drive home, Maya filled her dad in on everything that had happened that day, from the cafeteria incident to the vice principal's office to the confrontation. In the parking lot, I'm proud of you, her dad said when she finished. You showed restraint. That's harder than fighting back. It was close, though, Maya admitted. If you hadn't shown up when you did. Her dad nodded, his expression serious. The odds weren't in your favor. 4 against 1 is never good, no matter how skilled you are. How did you know to come get me? Maya asked, suddenly realizing she hadn't called or texted him. The vice principal called me, her dad explained, after your meeting. He was concerned about possible retaliation, so he asked me to pick you up today instead of letting you walk home. He glanced at her. Smart man. Maya leaned back in her seat, the adrenaline finally wearing off and leaving her exhausted. Do you think it's over now? Her dad considered this as he turned onto their street. Hard to say. You hurt his pride pretty badly. Some people learn from that kind of lesson. Others, well, they just get more determined. That night at dinner, Maya told her mom a carefully edited version of the day's events, downplaying the danger while emphasizing the positive outcome. Her mom still looked worried, exchanging glances with her dad that Maya pretended not to notice. "Maybe we should talk to the principal," her mom suggested. "If this boy is threatening you, the vice principal already knows," Maya assured her. "And I can handle Tyler, really." Later, as she got ready for bed, her phone buzzed with texts from Layla. "Are you okay? Heard about what happened after school." "I'm fine," Maya typed back. "How did you hear about it?" "Pete told Josh, who told Caitlin, who told me. Everyone's talking about how you took on Tyler and his friends without even throwing a punch." Maya groaned. "Great. So much for keeping a low profile." "It wasn't like that," she replied. "I just didn't let them grab me and Tyler tripped." "That's not how the story's going around school," Layla texted back. "According to what I heard, you're basically a ninja who demolished all of them while blindfolded." Despite everything, Maya laughed. "Definitely not blindfolded." "Seriously, though," Layla's next text read. "That was brave. And I'm glad you're okay." Maya smiled at her phone. Having a real friend at Westlake made everything else seem more manageable somehow. Friday morning came with bright sunshine that matched Maya's cautiously optimistic mood. She'd slept surprisingly well, the physical and emotional exhaustion of the previous day carrying her into a deep, dreamless sleep. Her dad insisted on driving her to school, despite her protests that she could walk as usual. "Just for today," he said. "Let's see how things stand before you go back to walking alone." As they pulled up to the school entrance, Maya spotted Tyler standing with a smaller group of friends than usual. His nose was swollen with dark bruising under both eyes that made him look like he'd gone a few rounds in a boxing ring. When he saw Maya getting out of her dad's car, he quickly looked away, turning his back to her. "Interesting," her dad commented, following her gaze. "Looks like someone's avoiding you now." Maya wasn't so sure. Tyler's body language might indicate retreat, but she'd seen the flash of his eyes before he turned away. The anger was still there, just banked for now. "Thanks for the ride," she said, giving her dad a quick hug before grabbing her backpack. "See you after school." "Call me if you need anything," he reminded her. "Anything at all." Maya nodded and headed into the building, aware of curious glances and whispered conversations that fell silent as she passed. News traveled fast in high school, and yesterday's confrontation had apparently made her something of a celebrity overnight. She found Layla waiting by her locker, practically bouncing with excitement. "You're famous," Layla announced as Maya approached. "Everyone's talking about how you destroyed Tyler and his goons." "I didn't destroy anyone," Maya said firmly, opening her locker. "And they're not goons. They're just kids who follow Tyler because they're scared of him." "Well, they're not the only ones scared now," Layla replied with a grin. "Have you seen his face? He's telling everyone he got hit playing basketball, but nobody believes him." Maya frowned. "I didn't hit him. He tripped and fell. With a little help from your foot, according to Pete," Layla said with a wink. "Don't worry, he's not saying it like it's a bad thing. I think he was actually impressed." Throughout the morning, Maya noticed a definite change in how people treated her. Students who had never spoken to her before smiled or nodded as she passed. A girl in her math class asked if she would help with a problem, and in English, 2 boys moved aside to give her and Layla better seats. "See?" Layla whispered as they sat down. "Instant respect." Maya wasn't sure how she felt about this new status. On one hand, it was nice not to be invisible anymore. On the other, being known as the girl who took down Tyler wasn't exactly the reputation she'd been hoping for. By lunchtime, Maya was exhausted from the constant attention. She grabbed her food and headed for a quiet corner table, hoping for a little peace. Layla joined her, along with David and a few others from their classes. "Is it true you know Kung Fu?" one boy asked eagerly. "It's not Kung Fu," Maya corrected him. "It's mixed martial arts. And yes, I've been training since I was little." "Could you teach me some moves?" another student asked. Maya looked up from her lunch to find half the table watching her expectantly. "I'm not a teacher," she said uncomfortably. "My dad is, though. He runs classes at Eastside Gym." The questions continued throughout lunch, and Maya answered them as patiently as she could. When the bell finally rang, she felt a wave of relief at the chance to escape to physics class, until she remembered that meant facing Tyler again. She entered the classroom cautiously, but Tyler was already in his seat, staring straight ahead. He didn't acknowledge her as she passed, didn't even seem to breathe until she was safely in her own seat. Mr. Reyes began the lesson, and Maya tried to focus on the equations he was writing on the board. But she could feel the tension radiating from Tyler several seats away, could sense his humiliation and anger, like a physical presence in the room. When class ended, Tyler was the first one out the door, moving so quickly he knocked over another student's backpack without stopping to help. Maya watched him go, a sense of unfinished business hanging in the air between them. "He's avoiding you," David commented as they walked to their next class. "That's a good sign, right?" Maya wasn't so sure. In her experience, retreat didn't always mean surrender. Sometimes it just meant regrouping for a different kind of attack. "Maybe," she said, keeping her doubts to herself. The rest of the day passed without incident. By the final bell, Maya was starting to think that maybe, just maybe, the worst was over. Maybe Tyler had learned his lesson. Maybe he would leave her alone now. Her dad was waiting in the parking lot as promised. As Maya walked toward his car, she felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. One day down and she'd survived. Perhaps next week would be better. She was so focused on this hopeful thought that she almost missed the look that passed between Tyler and his remaining friends as she crossed the parking lot. Almost, but not quite. Their eyes followed her, calculating and cold. This wasn't over, Maya realized with sudden clarity. Not by a long shot, but for the first time since coming to Westlake, she wasn't afraid of what might come next. She had friends now. She had her training. And most importantly, she had finally stopped trying to be invisible. The weekend gave Maya a much-needed break from the drama at school. On Saturday, she trained with her dad at the gym, working through more advanced techniques now that he'd seen firsthand why she might need them. On Sunday, she met up with Layla at the mall, their first time hanging out outside of school. It felt surprisingly normal, laughing over ice cream and trying on ridiculous sunglasses they had no intention of buying. "So," Layla said as they sat in the food court, "do you think Tyler's really given up?" Maya stirred her smoothie thoughtfully. "No, he's just regrouping. What do you think he'll do?" "I'm not sure," Maya admitted. "But whatever it is, it won't be direct. He won't risk looking bad in front of everyone again." Layla nodded, her expression serious. "Pete quit hanging out with him, you know, after what happened in the parking lot." This was news to Maya. "Really?" "Yeah. He told David that Tyler went too far. Said he didn't sign up to gang up on a girl even if she could fight like Bruce Lee. His words, not mine." Maya smiled despite herself. The stories of her martial arts abilities were getting more exaggerated by the day. Next thing she knew, people would be saying she could fly or walk on water. "Are you worried about tomorrow?" Layla asked. Maya considered the question. "Not worried exactly, just alert." "Well, you've got more friends now," Layla reminded her. "You're not facing him alone anymore." That night, as Maya packed her backpack for school, she thought about how much had changed in just 1 week. She'd gone from invisible new girl to the center of attention. She'd made real friends. She'd stood her ground against a bully. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Her stomach tightened as she opened it. "This isn't over. Watch your back." Maya stared at the screen for a long moment before deleting the message. Tyler, obviously. She briefly considered showing it to her parents but decided against it. A text was just words. She wouldn't let him intimidate her. Monday morning arrived with gray skies and a steady drizzle. Maya's dad drove her to school again, despite her insistence that she could handle walking. "Humor me," he said as they pulled up to the entrance. "Just until we're sure things have settled down." Maya nodded, giving him a quick hug before jumping out. "See you after school." The hallways were buzzing with the usual Monday morning energy, students comparing weekend stories, rushing to finish homework, or just trying to wake up. Maya headed to her locker, keeping a watchful eye out for Tyler or his friends. She spotted him at the far end of the hall, talking to Zach, the tall boy who'd tried to grab her in the parking lot. They both glanced her way, then quickly looked away. Maya felt the familiar prickle of unease but pushed it aside. She wouldn't let fear dictate her day. Her first class was English, where Mrs. Patel announced that group presentations would begin on Wednesday. "That gives you 2 more days to finalize your work," she said, looking around the room. "I expect everyone to be prepared." Layla nudged Maya. "We should meet up after school to practice. David's already finished the visual aids." "That works," Maya agreed. English class had become one of her favorites now that she had friends there. The morning passed quickly. By lunchtime, Maya was starting to think maybe she'd overestimated the threat. Tyler had been in 2 of her classes and had completely ignored her both times. Maybe he really had given up. She joined Layla and their growing group of friends at their usual table, feeling more relaxed than she had in days. The cafeteria was serving pizza, and the conversation flowed easily around her as they discussed weekend activities and upcoming tests. Maya was reaching for her water bottle when she noticed something odd. Tyler was at his usual table, but instead of holding court with his friends, he was sitting quietly, staring at his phone. As she watched, he glanced up, looking not at her but at something across the cafeteria. Maya followed his gaze and saw Zach standing by the exit, giving a slight nod. A setup. They were planning something. Maya tensed, her senses suddenly on high alert. She scanned the cafeteria, trying to figure out what they might be up to. Everything looked normal, but there was a tension in the air she couldn't quite place. "What's wrong?" Layla asked, noticing her distraction. "Not sure," Maya replied quietly. "Something feels off." Just then, a commotion erupted at the far side of the cafeteria. 2 boys were shoving each other, their voices rising above the general noise. Everyone turned to look, including the teachers on lunch duty, who hurried over to break up the fight, and that's when Maya saw it. Tyler slipping something into her open backpack beside her chair. He moved so casually that no one else seemed to notice, walking past their table as if heading toward the fight, then dropping something small into her bag with practiced ease. Maya stood up immediately. "What did you just put in my backpack?" Tyler turned, his face a mask of innocent confusion. "What are you talking about?" "I saw you," Maya insisted, grabbing her backpack. "You dropped something in here." By now, several people at nearby tables were watching the exchange. Tyler's expression shifted to a smirk. "You're crazy, you know that?" "I didn't touch your stuff." Maya unzipped her backpack, her heart racing. Inside, nestled among her books, was a small plastic bag filled with white powder. Her blood ran cold as she realized what it was. Or at least what it was meant to look like. "What is this?" she demanded, holding up the bag for everyone to see. "Why did you put this in my backpack?" The cafeteria had gone eerily quiet. At the far side, the 2 boys who'd been fighting were now standing perfectly still, watching along with everyone else. The entire scene had been choreographed, Maya realized. The fight was just a distraction so Tyler could plant whatever this was in her bag. "I have no idea what that is," Tyler said loudly, his voice carrying across the silent room. "But maybe someone should call the vice principal." One of the lunch monitors was already approaching, her face stern. "What's going on here?" "She has drugs," Tyler said quickly, pointing at the bag in Maya's hand. "I saw her showing them to her friends." "That's a lie." Layla stood up beside Maya. "Tyler put that in her backpack when everyone was looking at the fight." "I saw him." The lunch monitor looked between them, clearly uncertain. "Both of you, come with me. Right now." Maya's mind raced as they were led to the office. This was Tyler's revenge, not physical but far more dangerous. If anyone believed she had brought drugs to school, she could be expelled. It would go on her permanent record. All her parents' hopes for her future could be ruined. In the vice principal's office, Maya told her story calmly and clearly, explaining exactly what she had seen. Layla backed her up, though she admitted she hadn't actually seen Tyler drop anything in the bag. Tyler, for his part, maintained his innocence, his expression wounded as if he couldn't believe anyone would accuse him of such a thing. "It's just powdered sugar," he insisted when Mr. Hernandez examined the bag. "I don't know anything about it." "We'll find out soon enough," Mr. Hernandez said, sealing the bag in an envelope. "In the meantime, I need to call all of your parents." Maya's heart sank. Her parents would be so disappointed, so worried. Even if she was eventually cleared, the mere suspicion would devastate them. "Before you do that," she said, surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded, "I think you should check the security cameras." Mr. Hernandez raised an eyebrow. "Security cameras?" "The ones in the cafeteria," Maya explained. "They would have recorded everything. You'll be able to see Tyler putting the bag in my backpack while everyone was distracted by the fight." Tyler's smug expression faltered. Clearly he hadn't considered the cameras. "That's an excellent suggestion," Mr. Hernandez said, picking up his phone. "Let's see what the footage shows." 20 minutes later, they were all watching a grainy but clear video of the cafeteria. Just as Maya had described, the camera showed the fight breaking out on one side, and then captured Tyler's casual walk past her table, his hand dipping briefly into her open backpack. "Well," Mr. Hernandez said, pausing the footage, "I think that's fairly conclusive." The color drained from Tyler's face. "It wasn't real drugs," he said quickly. "It was just a joke. I was going to tell everyone it was fake." "Planting fake drugs in another student's belongings isn't a joke, Mr. Reynolds," Mr. Hernandez said, his voice hard. "It's a serious violation of school policy, and creating a distraction to do so shows premeditation." He turned to Maya. "Ms. Zhang, you're free to go back to class. Thank you for suggesting we check the camera footage." Maya stood, relief washing over her. "What about my parents? Will you still be calling them?" "I'll need to inform them of the incident," Mr. Hernandez said. "But I'll make it clear that you were the victim here, not the perpetrator." As Maya left the office, she heard him pick up the phone again. "Now, Mr. Reynolds, let's call your parents, and then we need to discuss the other students involved in this scheme." The rest of the day passed in a blur. Word of what had happened spread quickly through the school, with new details added and embellished with each retelling. By final period, Maya had heard that Tyler was being led away in handcuffs, not true, and that she had somehow known about the plan in advance. Because she was psychic, definitely not true. Her dad was waiting in the parking lot as usual. One look at his face told Maya that Mr. Hernandez had already called. "You okay?" he asked as she got in the car. Maya nodded, suddenly exhausted. "I'm fine. Just ready to go home." "Mr. Hernandez told me what happened," her dad said, pulling out of the parking lot. "That was quick thinking, suggesting they check the cameras." "I got lucky," Maya admitted. "If there hadn't been cameras," her dad shook his head. "It wasn't luck. It was awareness. You noticed something was off, you stayed calm, and you used the resources available to you. That's exactly what I've been teaching you all these years." Maya smiled, realizing he was right. The same principles that guided her in physical confrontations had helped her navigate this situation too. That evening, as she was finishing her homework, Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Layla. "Have you heard? Tyler got suspended for 2 weeks and he has to do community service when he gets back. Zach and the others got detention for helping with the setup." Maya stared at the message, feeling a complex mix of emotions. Relief that justice had been served. Sadness that Tyler had gone to such lengths because of his wounded pride. And something else. A quiet confidence that whatever came next, she could handle it. She typed back, "Good. Maybe he'll learn something from it." 3 weeks later, life at Westlake had settled into a new normal. Maya's brief notoriety had faded as the next school drama took center stage. She still trained with her dad 3 times a week, still sat with Layla and their friends at lunch, and still worked hard in her classes. The day Tyler returned from his suspension, Maya watched him carefully, unsure what to expect. He looked different somehow, less confident, less entitled. When he passed her in the hallway, he kept his eyes down, giving her a wide berth. Later that week, as Maya was putting books in her locker after school, she felt someone approach. She turned to find Tyler standing there, his hands shoved in his pockets, his expression uncomfortable. "Hey," he said awkwardly. Maya stayed silent, waiting. I'm supposed to apologize to you," he said, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. "It's part of my probation thing." "Okay," Maya said, her voice neutral. Tyler sighed, looking genuinely conflicted. "Look, I'm sorry, all right? What I did was, it was stupid. And wrong." He seemed to be struggling with the words. "I was just so angry about looking bad in front of everyone." "You did that to yourself," Maya pointed out. "I never tried to embarrass you." "I know that. Now." He kicked at the floor with his shoe. "Anyway, I'm not going to bother you anymore. We can just stay out of each other's way." It wasn't the most heartfelt apology, but Maya sensed it was the best he could manage. His pride had taken a serious beating, and he was still trying to recover. "That works for me," she said simply. He nodded and turned to go, then paused. "How did you learn to do all that stuff? The fighting moves, I mean." "Years of training," Maya replied. "Since I was 7. "Oh," he seemed to be processing this. "So it wasn't just natural talent or whatever?" Maya almost smiled at that. "No, it was hard work. Hours of practice, falling down and getting back up, over and over again." Tyler nodded slowly. "Right, well, see you around, I guess." As he walked away, Maya felt a sense of closure. The conflict that had dominated her first month at Westlake was finally over. She had stood her ground, protected herself without unnecessary violence, and come out stronger on the other side. Her phone buzzed with a text from her dad. "Done with meetings. Ready for pickup?" "On my way out now," she replied. As Maya walked through the hallways of Westlake, she realized how different she felt from the shy, invisible girl who had arrived just a few weeks ago. She had friends who appreciated her for who she was. She had confidence that came from knowing her own strength, and she had learned that sometimes the best way to win a fight was to stay true to your principles, even when it would be easier to lash out. Outside, the spring sunshine was warm on her face. Maya took a deep breath, enjoying the simple feeling of being exactly where she was supposed to be, comfortable in her own skin, no longer hiding in the shadows. She had come to Westlake hoping to blend in, to disappear. Instead, she had found her voice.